Oh, hello, boys and girls. Happy Saturday to you. I have been building stuff since Thursday, and BitChute's been on this weird kick where it's taking like hours to upload anything and have it processed. I better turn this fan off before y'all get a lot of background noise. Where it takes hours to get things processed, and so I just haven't been promoting the videos. They're there. Yesterday, you guys actually got three. Today I'm gonna do one this morning. It's approximately 10:47 a.m. As of the time of this recording. Gonna do one this morning. I usually only do one on Saturdays, but you guys might get a second one today. I'm not sure. I'll see when I look at the news later. It's kind of a slow news day, but this came out today, and I found it super duper interesting. BoogBois staged attack on Minneapolis police precinct during George Floyd protest. This was printed today by Tom Ozimek. And it brings up questions. One, what in the world is the feds doing specifically targeting the Boogaloo Boys when they say in their report hundreds, if not thousands, of people were causing tons of damage, including to the police precinct in Minneapolis. Um, two, two, it is important to note that despite previous thoughts, this has kind of changed my mind a little bit about the Boogaloo Boys. Um, I've been I've been deep under the impression from personal experience that all of these Boogaloo Boys subculture like Facebook groups and things like that they was just memes. It was a lot of veterans and military experienced people basically sharing memes and making fun of the idea of a second civil war. I don't think you guys realize when someone with military experience talks about the idea of war, especially in this country, how cynical a view you're taking of it. Um, a lot of civilians think of combat in total, and even like the training and simulation of combat as something off TV, something out of a movie. And it's a lot messier than that. Even in training, it's messier than that. Even running lanes where you're with the infantry guys moving around and you're just moving through what could be a combat scenario. It's messy. Very, very messy. Very, very confusing, very chaotic. So, let's have a look at this. And it seems like an actual Boogaloo Boys group exists, or people using that name exist, but it also seems like the idea that they are far right extremist and fascist is just ass backwards. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the video if you enjoy the content, leave me a comment, and subscribe, of course. Let me know in the comment what you think of the Boogaloo Boys, what your opinion on them is, and if following this video, your opinion may have changed. Let's go down here. They kind of editorialize and opinionize this entire report, but this is a good summary. A loosely connected group of individuals espousing violent anti government sentiments. That sounds like a good summary. And the group's name references a supposed impending second civil war in the United States and associated with violent uprising and is associated with violent uprisings against the government. I think that's less accurate and true. Yes, it does represent a impending second civil war. The Boogaloo, World War or Civil War II, Electric Boogaloo. However, I don't think there's been any militant anti-government violent uprisings against the government perpetrated by the Boogaloo Boys specifically. The complaint details a lot of stuff, and like I said, they editorialize a lot of it. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually read, or maybe not the whole thing, but we're going to look through this. I'm a federal law enforcement. I make this affidavit in support of an application for criminal complaint against Hyven Harrison Hunter, residing in Bernie, Texas, not far from where I am, for violating Title 18, U.S. Code 2101, rioting. In late May of 2020, the FBI initiated an investigation into members of the Boogaloo Boys based on information that they were discussing committing crimes of violence and were maintaining an armed presence on the streets of Minneapolis during civil unrest following the death of George Floyd. Uh, you know that the Boogaloo Boys are a loosely connected group of individuals espousing anti government sentiment. The term Boogaloo refers to, we read that, beginning in the evening hours of Tuesday, May 26, 2020, Minneapolis and St. Paul experienced widespread arson, rioting, and looting. This unrest and the associated damage and destruction was in part a response to the death of George Floyd. During this time period, hundreds of individuals, if not thousands more accurately, carried on into the night, vandalizing and looting local businesses, destroying buildings, vehicles, and other property through arson, smashing doors and windows, and throwing objects. The Minneapolis neighborhood surrounding the East Lake Street Hiawatha intersection near the site of the police encounter with Mr. Floyd was particularly hard hit. On the evening of May 27th, for example, individuals broke into a Target and Cub Foods near the intersection, vandalized and looted the business, then set fires, tried to burn it down. Now, that context is important for my point. It's not as important to what they're trying to do. It's just kind of setting the stage for what was going on. And it's kind of proving that these guys weren't actually inciting the physical riots that came about. They may have been encouraging them, but I feel like that entire paragraph is going to defeat their case against this guy, which is the incitement of violence and rioting. On May 26th, Boogaloo Boys member Michael Solomon, a resident of Minnesota, posted publicly on Facebook the following message. I need a head count. If you have Keybase, message me on there. Gives his name. If not, PM me. Hunter, a resident of Texas, responded, 72 hours out, and can you give me any confirmation on KIAs? He also posted privately, headed to Minneapolis today. Lock and load, boys. Boog flags are flying in the air, and the national network is going off. Once we arrived, we're going to get a central command established and primary and secondary comms. I'm leaving tonight. Teeter immediately responded with the thumbs up emoji. On May 28th, Solomon sent a private message. Rally point will be Cub Foods, the Cub by the 3rd Precinct in Minneapolis. They go on. 2 minutes, you'll hear my truck. The shooter then walks towards the camera, high fives another individual, yells justice for Floyd, wearing a skull mask covering the lower half of his face, glasses, a baseball cap, and tack gear. He then fires an AK-47 into the precinct. That's right. Here he is. So, this is what happened. He yells justice for Floyd. They join into the protest. And I believe these facts identify this group not as a far-right extremist group like the friggin' mainstream media would have you believe. However, as a anti-government group. Are they extremist? I don't know. It's pretty extreme to fire an AK-47 into a police precinct. But hundreds of people per this complaint, per this affidavit, hundreds of people were doing things like this. Rioting, arson, looting, destroying everything. This was common. This is what was happening, what everyone was doing. This group didn't specifically start these problems. They showed up after 2 to 3 days after they started. So I gotta wonder, right? And this brings me to my second point. Why are they being picked out specifically? We know that Black Lives Matter was out encouraging this and defending looting, telling you that they're reparations. Why aren't those people picked up? We know that Antifa's been out there encouraging riots, encouraging arson, encouraging the destruction of property and burning of buildings. Why hasn't any member of Antifa been picked up? Could it be that the idea is to sacrifice the Boogaloo Boys as a far-right extremist group, arrest them, and blame them for what's going on? In some sort of overall bid to pin the right, and thereby pin Donald Trump as responsible for all of these things. To say, if these Boogaloo Boys hadn't been out there, none of this violence would have occurred. You could potentially take that narrative away from this if you really ignored a lot of this affidavit. You could take that narrative away. I could see that. Is that the goal? I don't know for sure, but it looks like it. And I gotta wonder, at what point is being on the right, is being Republican, going to become synonymous with you being an extremist? Is it already happening? Excellent questions, and I'm going to wrap it up there, boys and girls. I hope you guys have a great Saturday. Check out my social media. Twitter and Parler is at This Dead Rabbit. You guys can find us on Facebook, The Rabbit's Hole Political Commentary, or The Rabbit's Hole. Either of those will lead you to a private Facebook group or a public page. Feel free to follow me. I'll post updates on what all I'm doing. And if this gets out in time, this doesn't take hours and hours to process, I will promote it on those socials. So I will catch you guys possibly later today, maybe Monday. Thanks.